The time is now 24 minutes past 8. Alma Deutscher wrote her first opera at the age of 7. She wrote a violin concerto at 9. And this year, her full-length opera of Cinderella will be premiered in Vienna. She's just 11.
I started playing the piano when I was 2 and the violin when I was 3. And actually, I started to compose when I was 4. So writing things down on paper.
You just found that the music was coming to you?
Yes. I didn't even know that it was called composing then. I just sit at the piano and play the ideas I had in my head.
When you think of musical prodigies, the names Mozart, Schubert and Mendelssohn come to mind. But here's another, Alma Deutscher.
Da kann eine gewisse Alma Deutscher allerdings locker mithalten. Die Britin hat schon im Kindergartenalter
A very young classical composer in England is now living her very own fairy tale. Alma Deutscher began playing the piano when she was 2 and the violin a year later. And now she has written and composed her first opera at just 11 years of age.
Who's that down there?
That's my younger sister, Helen. Look at the little monkey.
So with Cinderella, it's really interesting the way you've changed the story.
You see, in my opera, I don't have a shoe because I think the shoe's a little bit silly. The prince doesn't find Cinderella with a shoe, but he finds her with a melody. So, you see, now she isn't just a pretty girl who cleans and keeps quiet. She's actually clever and she's a composer. And the prince is a poet. And so what happens is that as part of the plot, Cinderella finds a poem that was written by the prince. She doesn't know that the prince wrote this poem, but she loves it, and she's inspired to put it to music. And so in the ball, she sings it to the prince, but she doesn't know that he wrote the words, and he doesn't know that she wrote the music. And so it's all a bit of a muddle, but in the end, they find each other, like lyrics finds music.
Alma's opera, Cinderella, has just begun rehearsals in Vienna.
What do you think? Because the contrabass and cello are really going to play like everybody. Nochmal wiederholen, es wird einer, der möchte so einfach Ende das gerne wiederholen. Und mit Tina noch einmal alles noch einmal machen. Okay? From measure 6.
Alma's progression as a composer has been carefully recorded by her father, Guy.
So this is Alma, age 7, in Berlin, waking up first thing in the morning with a melody that she had in her head, and just playing it all. So she's singing one of the singers, and her right hand is playing the other singer. You hear this little girl on the piano with and then you hear this. This is what it was in her mind. That it's almost blood curdling, isn't it? When you in the opera, it's so dramatic, and it doesn't maybe look it when a little girl gets up in the morning and plays something on the piano. But that's what you would have heard in her mind.
אני Alma Deutscher, ואני בת 7, ואני באה מאנגליה, ואני לומדת עם נטשה ביאסקי, והכינור זה של אמנון ויינשטיין,
So she was playing in a concert in the north of Israel on a sort of type of violin course and master classes, and a concert in the end. And we had a very long car journey back home. And the moment we came back home, she essentially ran to the piano. She very quickly wrote just a few bars of the beginning. And this turned into the main aria of the opera, where Cinderella composes music to the prince's words that she finds.
das passt gut.
Ja.
Okay, perfekt. Okay, 5 Minuten Pause.
You've got the whole score in front of you, helping.
Oh yes, of course, the whole orchestral score.
And Helen is helping you.
Yeah, Helen's turning the pages for me, because you see, because it's all the orchestra. I'm reading from all the orchestra. There's much more pages to turn all the time.
When they sing it, does it sound like when you practiced it?
Quite often it sounds, even better than how I think about it. So especially the duet at the end between the Prince and Cinderella, I thought that was amazing. It's really singing so beautifully together.
You want to have one of them? You don't like chocolate? I don't understand that. Alma, please.
I'll get your own one. No. I'll get Alma her own one.
Alma brings something new. And you can hear almost every composer, but in her own way. It's her own way of composing, and that I find it beautiful. And I've never heard something like that before.
So I thought about it more natural, if you're like speaking.
Okay.
So don't.
So, you know, it's not artificial, it's natural. That's Alma.
Ich höre, mein Sohn, dass du ein junges Mädchen trafst.
So, Guy, I want to ask you, I mean, is it true that Alma learnt to read music or understand music before she learnt to read?
Yes, that's true. She could read music when she was 3 or just sort of shortly after that, but she didn't learn to read until 4.5.
So in this hat here, I have notes. If you could pick 4 notes from this hat, and then I will improvise a piece based on the notes.
All right, hand me that then. I'll close my eyes.
Close your eyes.
That's one.
Si bemol.
2.
Mi.
3.
Si bemol. 4. La. Difficult. Yes. So I'll just take a minute to think it over.
Yeah. And then, barely 40 seconds later, Alma magically transformed those 4 random notes.
This started extremely early on, improvising these melodies. I mean, she was around 4, and in the beginning we didn't understand. I remember sort of thinking, what is it she's playing? I mean, which tune is she trying to play? Because it wasn't familiar. And at some stage I asked her, well, actually, what is it you're trying to play? And she said, no, it's my melody, you know, it's something I hear in my head.
It's rather fascinating, the way she's become attached to a skipping rope.
Well, she got it for her birthday from her auntie. Before that, she used to wave various twigs and sticks around, and then she got that nice pink thing, and since then she's never parted with it. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know why it is, but it is a fact that she says, I can't dream without my skipping rope.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's nice. I get a little bit. And just something for the king. If on where you start on bar 154, just try it if you just sang those 2 bars on an octave lower.
Well, Alma is really a force of nature, isn't she? I don't know that I've come across anyone of that age with quite such an astonishing range of gifts.
Yes, and now sing it up once more.
It's natural for her. It's play. And I think it was play for certain brilliant composers, young composers like Mozart, like Korngold. These are very unusual people who have this.
But I understand. Is it machen? I don't understand.
This is the infinitive. You have to turn it into a part. She wanted to learn to read, and we always promised her, well, soon you're going to school, and they'll teach you how to read and write. And then she went to the first induction day, and she came back crying. And we asked, what's wrong? And he said, you promised that they would teach me to read and write, and they didn't teach me anything.
And what do you think she's... Wherefore art thou Romeo? What do you think she's sighing about?
Why are you Romeo? Why aren't you someone else?
Yes. Why can't you be called Matthew?
Or John?
Romeo? Yes.
Why aren't you a Capulet?
Yes, why aren't you a Capulet? Wherefore art thou Romeo?
The idea of homeschooling was not some pre-planned ideological thing. I mean, it was an adaptation to her, essentially.
Just says, oh, I don't like it.
Oh, never mind. I've got plenty of other environments.
Exactly. She's not very interested, is he? But he's been full of praises about Rosalind.
Exactly, because he says that inside his ball, he sees other ones, but they're just like crows to his swan.
Exactly, darling. Exactly. And when he's in love with Rosaline.
She's pretty good.
Yes, she's very good.
What do you do, Helen, when Alma is here composing? Do you leave her in peace or do you play around?
Well, sometimes I compose. Well, you better ask Alma that question.
I got a tree climbing school, which I teach her how to climb trees, and Helen goes every day to it. I have lots of climbing steps, and I've got and handstand on a tree, and I've got 5 swings. The first one is called pas de sédichat, and Gileo Tong, and then Majot, Ballonnet, and Tout de Mong, which is a flip on the tree. And Helen's just learning Tout de Mong right now.
Majot, Tout de Mong. This list of made-up words was my first introduction to Alma's imaginary world. which began when she was very small.
I was telling Alma stories about characters that I just had in my head, and I was feeding Helen at the same time. So in order, in a way, that Helen didn't get all the attention from me, that I would make sure that I told Alma stories
while you were feeding
While
Helen.
I was feeding Helen in the evening, so that she would feel part of it, you know. So she was inspired by that, I think, and she wanted to make up her own stories. And so she started talking about her country, Transylvanian. Later she had another country, Golfan.
These imaginary countries which existed somewhere, but
exactly, like parallel worlds. And she was talking about this, and I thought, well, I should write it down. So she would talk to me about it, and I would write it down on a scrap piece of paper, and then in the evening I just wrote up exactly what she said without any editing or putting in full stops. So here we are.
Age 4.
Age 4.
Author of The Tales of Transylvanian.
Yes.
Alma Deutscher.
Yes.
I love that too. Transylvanian
tongue. Yes, so the language.
Table, mudge, chair, chak, little chair, kantamish, tree, zaka, flower, zing, toys, ring. Yeah.
And she would remember these things. I mean, she also associates colours with notes, but it's consistent. She will remember the same, and with letters of the alphabet too, certain, and it's always the same.
Nice, very nice. Gilotong. Nice, Mijot. But you've been practicing it, obviously. That's the second swing of the Dryads. Mijot is a third swing of the Dryads. Nice. And Ballonnet is the fourth swing of the Dryads.
And it's in Dryad language.
Yes, it's in Dryad language. Ballonnet...
You can't go over.
Doesn't matter. Up. So go down as far as you can, as far as you can.
Slipping.
Fluster is Alma's friend in Transylvania. Aurelia is Fluster's daughter.
These are all imaginary names
Yes, all,
as well.
absolutely, and the cast list has swelled. I try to keep track of it as best I can.
So this is Shell.
This is Shell.
Yeah.
She was the big character. She was a powerful lady and the singer and the figure of glamour.
Yeah.
And Alma used to dress up as Shell. Well, don't tell her that I said it was her dressing up because she thinks it was Shell. So Shell used to arrive in our house, I should say. And we used to greet her and treat her with due courtesy and respect.
Yes. Her sort of heroines, or the people she's entered, they're all women.
Yes, they're composers, they're women, and they are glamorous and free and in charge and allowed to say whatever they want and do whatever they want and never have to pick up their socks or tidy their room.
And there are servants available.
Yes, exactly. It's a sort of operatic world, so fairy tale world and magic, and I think music was part of that magic because it was something that you could create out of nothing.
So, Antonin Yellowsink, he composes mainly in the romantic style, more like Schubert and Tchaikovsky and Dvorak and those people. But Ashley is more like Bach. She composes fugues, and Shell is very much like Mozart. You know, she writes sonatas like that, and so is Flora actually. And Green Silver, she also writes a bit more how I write. So in between Mozart, Schubert, that kind of style. So you see, they each have their own personality.
This is Shaplona.
This is Shaplona, the teacher. You have to understand, the person who's playing is Alma, the person who's speaking is the teacher.
Right, I got it.
And then she's talking to me because the teacher is talking to the father, telling him what.
Ah, right.
As her real teacher would sometimes do.
Yeah.
This is the right way.
Yeah, and she's getting better.
Yes, and she's getting... At the earlier periods, it was incredibly important for her to believe that we really believed that these are different characters, and she would get extremely upset at any sign that anyone might doubt that, maybe this is actually Alma herself. Hello. We tried always to go along with that imagination.
We lived with these people; they were part of our life, and so we did go with it.
I didn't actually covered it what I was doing.
And she needed it as a way of coping with life, I think. She really needed it.
Never did Antonin get tired of making his melodies even more beautiful. Here is some sprightly music he composed. It ends with a flourish. La re 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 do si la la sol fa re re si fa mi re do. Now, Helen, you'll understand this. Antonin loved experimenting and getting into mischief. Actually, he was very mischievous when he composed. He didn't care for the rules, much to Herr Zischab's surprise.
I also remember at the time she was just beginning to understand about death and, there's a lot of talk in here about the underworld because she understood death as the underworld. There's a wonderful bit about Elizabeth Schwarzkopf, who she knew was dead, and she devised this idea that you could get a ticket back from the underworld to come back to life again, as if the imagination can
take you there.
Can take you there and can take you out of it as well. can get you out of it.
Elizabeth Schwarzkopf lives in the dying place, the underworld. She has a ticket to come back here again. And if a ticket says no, then you don't come back again. And if it says yes, then you can come back again. You don't have to, but you can. Gosh. Where did she get that from, though? Did you talk to her about it, or was it just from books?
Death.
Yeah.
And things. Well, from books and family members suffering and dying. So she was aware of pain and coping with it.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult. And if there was something scary or unpleasant, she could absorb it into her world. I mean, she could be very, very concentrated and fierce when it was about her art and her work. And in ordinary life, not at all. So she's very gentle and sweet-natured and good-hearted. But when it came to her work, she absolutely knew what she wanted.
When you discover this imaginative life that she's got very early on, I mean, what did you think?
I thought here's an imagination, and the music and the words are all part of the same imagination. It's not a separate thing at all. And I just wanted to give her, to develop it and give her the space to, and the freedom to develop it, because it was something that was so important to her. It made her so happy, and I just felt that she needed it at a very fundamental level.
Pa 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 pam para pam 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 pararam pa pam pa pam pa pam 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 pa 3 on pam pa. Perfekt, danke.
Very staccato, because see, the king is mocking the prince and almost mocking the orchestra because he thinks that you're siding with the prince.
Direkt 3 on. Weiter 3 on. Perfect, okay.
And I can't, the bassoon has to play louder, because otherwise you can't hear it.
Yes,
fagot,
yes. Hannes, 98 und 99 brauchen wir wirklich euch ein bisschen lauter. Passt, okay.
Did the flute play this?
Yeah, but he played really piano.
Yes. You should be able to hear that.
Yeah, James, 113.
And also the clarinet.
Yes,
Yeah.
the clarinet played a little bit louder.
Yeah.
Für euch, 112, B mais alto, solo. Tempo. Wieder Tempo. Jetzt, okay.
Danke, danke. Bist einen Tag zu früh gekommen. Okay? Passe. Okay? Spielen wir bitte mal. Was much better now, right?
Yes,
With the clarinet
yes.
and perfect. All right.
Oh, no. It's not yet. Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm just going to stop again. Yes. All right. Once again. 3 and.
No. It's you can't.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Yes.
The bassoon is coming 1 bar too early.
He's playing over here.
Yeah, I know, but he's not. This only comes on this bar. He's
Oh.
playing ta 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 already. Yeah, I think he's playing it wrong in the wrong time.
No. He was playing wrong.
He was playing wrong.
You mean this one?
Yes.
Hannes, du spielst erst auf der zweiten Takt. Ja, aber Forte kommt auf B, kommt die Orchester zuerst. Ja. Okay, perfekt.
Yeah.
Okay, direkt nochmal. 3, oh.
Yeah.
Tempo.
Unsere kleine Cinderella hat so viel zu tun.
Okay, perfekt. So, ein paar Kleinigkeiten. Okay, direkt. 3, oh. So, genau. Können wir wirklich auf der 1 hier noch immer Forte bleiben? Okay?
And
Yeah.
I really want the horn to play quite a ta-tum. I couldn't
Yes, of
really,
course.
couldn't
Yes.
really hear it so
Yes,
well.
of course.
Yeah.
Genau. 3, oh.
Yeah, that's good.
Great. So, thank you all very much. We did a very good job on the first act. Brava, Alma.
Thank you very
Great
much.
job.
Bravo to you. You played really
Okay,
nicely.
bravo, thank you. And I'll see you all tomorrow.
Ciao, danke. Bye.
That's the bassoonist who got such a grilling. I wonder what he thought of it.
Alma in action. You know, it's amazing. She's 11 years old. She writes amazing music. And she knows everything about the music, every single note. I have no words for this. It's outstanding.
They're not necessarily all geographically close.
No.
We're all in touch.
Yeah.
Sort of area. But there is.
Yeah. How is your German, Alma, now?
Well, I'm learning all the grammar now, so ich bin nur ein Anfängerin, aber ich verstehe schon ein bisschen.
I understand a bit. You were pretty good with all of them.
Thank you.
Who was in charge, by the way?
Well, the conductor is really in charge, but I was giving tips about musicality and interpretation and tempo and things like that.
I thought you were in charge. Now, how much of this is actually hard work and how much of it is
It's
fun?
all hard work.
And can it be hard work and fun at the same time? Is that what it is?
Well, you see, first of all, the fun bit was really getting the melodies and getting the inspiration. I love that. That's not really the hard work. That's the nice bit. But the hard work is then making the modulations go to the right place, developing the melody, continuing it, and all that.
And do you ever think to yourself, is this a gift? Where does it come from? Why have you got this ability?
Well, it's a mystery. I don't even know if I can answer that myself. How I get the melodies, the inspiration. But sometimes I have an inspiration in my head. It just pops into my head. Sometimes I hear it being sung by a voice, or it being played by an orchestra, or sometimes I got a melody just for 2 horns. So you see, I have this imaginary composer in Transylvanian. He's called Antonin Yellowsink,
and he composes lots of beautiful melodies. I've actually stolen quite a few of them, and for Cinderella. Actually, one of the most important arias in Cinderella is Antonin Yelusink's melody. The ballad, the sad aria that Cinderella sings when the stepsisters and mother have gone to the ball and left her behind, is actually the melody is taken from Antonin Yelusink.
But did you invent... Go on.
No, just that also you had this motif and you actually gave it to him to develop.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah. So you see, I had a melody, a beautiful melody. So I showed it to Antonin, and Antonin made a whole beautiful new version of it, really beautiful, which is now actually the starting of the overture of Cinderella.
Right. And is there also a kind of that's quite a sad bit that you're talking about. Is Antonin able to deal with sort of darker things?
Yes, exactly, because you see, I'm a very happy person, so it's a bit strange that I get these very sad melodies. And I think maybe that's because Antonin Yelusink sometimes gets them, and then I take them.
You said, I don't like being compared to Mozart. If I was an old man with a beard,
oh, yes.
then people would better. Now, what made you say that? What's wrong with old men with beards? I'm an old man with a beard.
No, but I mean, people like Brahms who've been dead a long time ago and they're old and fat, and they're taken extremely seriously, a bit because of that. But nobody really took a young girl very seriously.
Also, isn't there something behind you at your piano at home? You've got a picture of a woman composer behind you.
Yes, Nanel, who is Mozart's sister. And because you see, she was also very talented at composing, but she wasn't allowed to compose because she was a girl. So she couldn't publish any compositions under her own name. She just had to stay at home and knit and cook and do the cleaning.
And is that why you defiantly decided that your Cinderella wasn't just going to be a girl who fitted the shoe?
Yes, exactly, because I didn't want Cinderella to be just another girl who's pretty and keeps quiet and cleans the floor. But I actually wanted her to be, clever, and I wanted her to be a composer. And as I had this melody already there, with this special haunting chord, I suddenly thought that the prince could be haunted by this chord but not remember how it continues. But then he has the brainwave that he'll search everywhere in the kingdom and sing the beginning of it. And only the girl who can finish it with the right haunting chord is the one he's looking for.
Sie tritt ins Kalte.
Ich selbst habe diese Melodie komponiert. Könntet ihr mich noch mal daran erinnern, wie es angefangen hat?
Sie tritt ins Kalte, du.
Sie tritt ins Kalte, du.
You have to do quite a long one.
Okay.
You suddenly remember something.
Okay. Sie tritt ins Kalte, du liegst mir im Herzen, du liegst mir im Sinn, du machst mir viel Schmerzen, weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin.
Frightening, isn't it? Have you checked? Is there a chip somewhere hidden? An incredible talent. These kind of things you cannot teach anybody. I think it's a talent, and it's manifested in a 11 going on 12-year-old girl.
Can I introduce you to Alma Deutscher? Now tell us about the piece you're going to play.
Well, I'm going to play with this wonderful orchestra and with Gareth, this wonderful conductor, and a movement of my own violin concerto that I composed myself when I was 9.
Just imagine, Alan, you're playing your own composition. I could never write a song and sing it. She has a very natural instinct. Who knows what the future will bring for her. But at the moment, life is her oyster, isn't it? She can have anything for the future, only if she takes care of it.
So remember, Helen, on the end, first time you lead, is that it? I want to go from the last year, the first one. Okay, fine.
Alma has written a piece for 2 violins, which she'll perform with her sister Helen.
There is a sense of phrasing which many people 2 or 3 or 4 times her age would be lucky to have. There is a sense, I go back to it again, this idea of what the tension and release is and what the harmony does that seems to be completely inborn to her. This is not something you can teach. And I haven't really seen anything like it.
So that's Nannerl Mozart.
Mozart's sister.
She was a bit like you two. She was what, sort of about 12 or something, and he was about 8.
Yes, she was his older sister.
And they went touring together, didn't they?
Exactly, when they were young, when they were children. When she was a child, she was allowed to perform with Mozart, but when she grew older, she wasn't allowed to anymore, and certainly not compose.
It's great that she's sitting behind you, not forgotten.
Exactly.
The whole family have decamped to Vienna as rehearsals intensify and the first night looms. Today's rehearsal is open to the press. The legendary conductor Zubin Mehta is also coming.
Hello.
How are you, my love?
I'm very well.
Good.
I'm very excited.
Und Alma bringt enormen Medienrummel Maestro Zubin Mehta. Sie wickelt alle den kleinen Finger.
I actually started it when I was 8, and I was collecting lots of material.
Der berühmteste ist Antonin Jelowsing. Er hat die Melodie für dieses Streichquartett von vorhin geschrieben.
I just get these melodies, and I'm called an improvising mood, I call it, and then I just write them down.
There were a lot of media there today. How's she coping?
Well, it certainly is intense, more for Alma than for us, because, you know, we just have to stay in the background and let her do the speaking. But she doesn't terribly enjoy sitting and giving interviews as such. But, I mean, she's getting used to it. But if she says, no, I'm really too tired, then we won't do it. And she knows that, essentially that's the way of making an opera known to the world. So that's the real motivation. She really wants her opera to be known. She wants it to be put on in different places. So that's her, you know, that's the contribution of how to make it happen.
There shouldn't be too much of a break between Tom and Tom.
Okay, so not so much. Okay, 115, die letzte Takt von der Fermata, 3, oh. Danke.
Here it wasn't together.
Yes. So.
It's just the first violins and the second violins together.
Yeah.
It wasn't together.
Das heißt, da habt ihr wirklich unisono damit. Das ist wirklich das bitte.
I want the horn to play louder because no one can really hear him. It has to be really loud. And here, the contrabass played me Beka instead of me Bemol.
Ja, he's
Here, I want the horn to play really forte so people can hear. It's extremely tiring now because I'm working on everything. I've got to listen to everything of the orchestra, and whenever there's a mistake, you know, I have to correct it, and if the tempo is right, and listen to the singers as well. So it's very tiring but very exciting, but I'm going to get it right. It's going to be a success.
Perfekt, sehr gut.
The oboe didn't come in twice, here and here.
Yeah, she saw them.
Yeah. She just doubles the string.
Yes,
double
one at the beginning, then now.
And also twice, also here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't hear it. It's too soft, you can hardly hear it at all. And this was completely extreme.
You don't have to be 10 or 11 or 12 to be an irritatingly exacting composer. And it's interesting, she's come and listened to a lot of rehearsals, and she's also listened to what I've said to orchestras. I'm sure she's gone to many other people's rehearsals and noticed, oh, this made a real difference when you asked them to do that. And so she's soaking it up like a sponge.
Griselda, beruhige dich und setz dich auf dein Hinterbein!
One of the things I most love is when a piece is being born and you're hearing those sounds for the first time. There's composer, conductor, players. That's a holy moment.
Well, I've heard it loads and loads of time in the rehearsals, of course, but when it's on the stage and all the costumes and they're all acting it, it actually really looks so real, so convincing. Sometimes I forget and I almost think that it really is real.
Do you have his own? What about your violin, please? I've got the violin.
What did you feel about an 11-year-old girl writing an opera?
You sort of stand and it's unbelievable. I mean, I can hardly put it together in my brain. I cannot put it together. It's something I've never experienced. And also I love the solution she found with the poem and the composition. I think that is such a good development in the story.
It's extraordinary for a 12-year-old, and yet she is capable of garnering some sort of core of emotion, some sort of raw sort of feeling in her music, which actually someone with relatively little life experience, you wouldn't think they would be able to do that.
She's just at the beginning. And she has a range of gifts where she could do anything. But it won't always flow so easily. What experience does is to show you just how difficult it is. But we'll all be there for her when it gets hard. And if it doesn't get hard, we'll be thrilled.
Lieder sind schwer, Noten verschwimmen, kann nicht mehr. Stopp! Konzentration auf den Kontrabass, doch was klingt da oben? Dieser Klang rückt herein, geht nicht fort, Töne flattern mich herum. Sie singen für mich. Wenn herniedersinkt das Dunkel, steht ein Kind so einsam und allein.
It's amazing that after all this, preparation, essentially a whole year, suddenly all this thing that, Alma had in her mind, now I can actually hear it.
Nichts als des Schweigen herrscht im Kämmerlein. Wie tritt ins kalte Dunkel und versinkt in schwarzem Schnee.
very much.
Is it possible to make a photo with me? 11.
Yes. Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I watched it many times, but it's even nicer. Thank you. Well, look at the picture.
At the end of the evening, the little girl in red dress received a standing ovation, and hearty cries of bravo rang out across the hall. That sounds like one of your
I know. It sounds like
biographies.
I know.
Biographies of Antonin.
Yeah, I know.
Cinderella is a fairy tale with a happy ending. Deutscher's own fairy tale, you sense, is just beginning.
Terrific, darling.
Last summer, the sisters paid a visit to Mozart's childhood home and played Alma's music on the young Mozart's violins. Unlike Mozart's sister Nannerl, no one is holding Alma back.